All right, Blue-White Eldrazi. This is something we played a couple of things similar to this that felt reasonably powerful. I actually really like that the colorless splash in this deck gives us access to a pretty efficient, cheap removal spell. So while this isn't super efficient for Modern necessarily, this is basically Lightning Strike, and I think that's fine. Like, we have Path to Exile, which is arguably the most efficient removal spell in Modern for what it does, and then we get a second removal spell for the kind of more creature-heavy matchups, right? Then we've got pretty typical Eldrazi Temple. We have Talisman of Progress to help enable more turn 3 Thought-Knot Seer, turn 4 Smashers. So we'll see how this goes. I got a couple of Champion of Wits hanging out in here still too, because it's pretty sweet with Eldrazi Displacer, and Eternalizing it back seems fantastic. Thanks, Applegate. Yeah, it has the hidden mode. It's like literally Lightning Strike, right? Like, because you can use this on our own Reality Smashers or Thought-Knot Seers to do +3 damage to the opponent. I don't have Drowner of Hope because that's another expensive card, and I think Elder Deep-Fiend does more. Drowner is very good with Displacer, but It's fine. It's not particularly, I guess it's actually really reasonable, right? We have Path to Exile on 1, Talisman on 2, and then Thought-Knot on 3. So for those who don't watch a ton of content on this channel, there's 2 types of decks that play Temple of Malice in Modern: Bruise and Grishoalbrand. So I would assume that this is about to not be particularly good for the hero of the story. Opponent just said, good luck, love your content. They're like 2,000% playing Grishoalbrand right now. I don't know that we're good against Tron, but 3 Caverns does not make Worldbreaker free. And I've got like 2 Rejections and some Damping Spheres, and we can just like have fast pressure against Tron sometimes. All right, if we hit a land next turn and get to jam this Thought-Knot Seer down their throat, we could be in an okay spot. The Path to Exile is actually useful here because Path to Exile stops Grishoalbrand from connecting with us, which denies the opponent drawing 7 cards, and it also prevents Through the Breach Worm from doing us in. Perfect. I think I'm supposed to just tap out off the path here to play the Thought-Knot Seer. Just get the most pressure going. So hopefully I'm not about to have this resolve and then concede. Perfect. Their hand is just a whole lot of nonsense. They were gonna get to breach. They were gonna get to breach Grishoalbrand next turn. So sorry, their hand was good, but the remaining is nonsense once we Thought-Knot them here. It's really easy to unban cards in Modern. I just unban all the cards that aren't too strong, which is a pretty laundry list, honestly. Let's get my loot on here. This one piece of disruption might be enough to pull us through. So we played 1 Steam Vents in our build of Grishoalbrand 2 to cast the backside of what's it called? I'm forgetting its name. Discovery Dispersal. Hitting Grishoalbrand for damage is also very relevant here because every point of damage you deal to Grishoalbrand means they'd have less cards to draw down the line. I didn't cast Displacer because I want to hold up Path to Exile there, because the way I lose this game is by them putting a worm into play and killing me with it. So there's really no upside to like risking that there. I'm not increasing my clock by playing Displacer a turn sooner because I have this Celestial Colonnade in play, so they're dead next turn regardless. Alright, so this is not a Spatial Contortion matchup. This is a Dispel, Rest in Peace, Damping Sphere, Negate matchup. This is not an Elder Deep-Fiend matchup. Probably cut Champion of Wits. Drawing 2 cards was actually okay there, but it's probably worse than these other things. Actually, Matter Reshaper is probably worse than Champion of Wits, because this card's just like not dying in this matchup. This is an excellent Hearthstone hand. This is, however, not a very good Magic hand. We have Rest in Peace, Chad. How can the Grishoalbrand deck ever possibly win? I think Purge is too slow. Remember, so look at the number of cards I'm sideboarding in. Remember, chat, we need to kill our opponent. One of the things people do too often in these mid-rangey interactive decks is board out all of their pressure and board in too much disruption. Opposing combo decks are going to reassemble if you're not killing them. Don't cut all your threats. Dern, thank you for the 2-month resub there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Thanks for shipping your Twitch Prime again this way this month. We could die on turn 2. They don't have another land. That's good for us. And they don't have Goryo's Vengeance yet, which hopefully means this Rest in Peace will just be like GG's next turn. Is there any way to play Magic Arena on a Chromebook? Yeah, if you install Linux on your Chromebook, you can play Magic Arena through Wine, like I do on my Linux computer here. Depending on the Chromebook, it may or may not have enough GPU to power it out, but if you install Linux on your Chromebook, it's just a real computer. Your Chromebook needs to be an x86 computer, though. If it is an ARM Chromebook, you're not going to be able to install anything useful. Eldrazi Temple is actually a really good draw here, because it means I can play Thought-Knot while leaving up Path. Alright. A whole lot of nothing going on their side of the table. Thought-Knot plus Colonnade are going to clean this game up very quickly. So I can't attack with Colonnade next turn, but I can start attacking it with the turn after that, putting them on a 2-turn clock. Talk nerdy to me. they have Nourishing Shoal. That's not where I'm at, man. I know cards are green and little, but that was Shoal. All right, how we doing, folks? Welcome. Good morning. My name is Jeff Hoagland. Thanks for joining us here for the Modern segment of the Pro Tour this weekend. Hanging out, playing some Modern here on Magic Online. We played some Elves. We're playing some Eldrazi. We're going to play some Saheeli after this. And then during the constructed portion of the PT, I'm going to be hosting the Pro Tour on this channel so we can chat in my chat instead of the giant PT chat. If you're enjoying my stuff, please consider subscribing to my channel. My subscribers are the people that keep me employed here full-time. I wouldn't be here doing this as a job if it wasn't for the wonderful support from all of them. By subscribing, you can also support myself by checking out some of my very wonderful sponsors. MTGOtraders.com. Love to buy and sell some Magic Online cards with you. And if you use code Hoagland PayPal and check out with them, you'll save 8% on your singles orders there with them. Are you someone that thinks you always find the best line while playing Magic? Why don't you put your skills to the test? Head on over to PossibilityStorm.com. and check out one of their really awesome puzzles there. They have over 80 puzzles on their site, and they publish new ones every week of varying difficulty. CoolStuffInc.com. Buy and sells a lot of cool stuff, including TCG singles using promo code Jeff5. You can save 5% on Magic, Pokemon, Warhammer, and Yu-Gi-Oh cards with them. And of course, you hear my shuffling deck going in the background here. That's protected by my wonderful BCW Elite Guard sleeves. Using code Jeff Hoagland at bcwsupplies.com, you can save 10% on all of your orders there with them. They do sleeves, deck boxes, and all sorts of other great stuff there. Can I commentate during the hosting? I will not be commentating while I host the Pro Tour because I have things that I need to get done around the house. So I will not be doing commentary because I'm planning to stream this evening after the constructed part of the Pro Tour is done. So if I wanted to do commentary during the constructed portion, I'd be like live for like 16 hours. I should hook up a second webcam as a shuffling cam and just like put it up when I'm shuffling. All right, I'll shuffle. I'm standing, so you won't even get a full crotch cam. Just get the Captain America shirt there. Yeah, just that wonderful riffle. And bridge, just magic cards being shuffled as the good Lord intended them to be shuffled. Yeah, just truly a wonderful experience. It's like a fidget spinner for Magic nerds, basically, shuffling a deck of cards. That's why I pay the big bucks. What's going on, goalie? I mean, I am effectively a cam girl. This Eldrazi deck actually seems pretty sweet. I was excited to run this one back after we played it last time. I feel like this deck checks a lot of the boxes that you're interested in checking in Modern. This hand's probably too slow to keep on the draw. It just doesn't... It doesn't do anything. What was the name of the plastic cards you recommended for shuffling? Copag. Copag playing cards. I think I have to mulligan this in the dark. Like, if I knew my opponent was playing something fair, I think I'd keep that hand. But I just don't think you can, in good conscience, keep hands that don't do anything till turn 3 in Modern. You just die too much of the time. So, kind of wish I would have kept the previous hand against Overgrown Tomb Inquisition. It's just impossible to know. I'm really happy that I picked up BCW as a sponsor because I'm like thoroughly impressed with how durable these sleeves have proven to be. Like, I am not gentle with this shuffling deck, and I've just been very... I actually haven't replaced a sleeve on this deck of cards yet, believe it or not. I've got my extra pack of them here, and I haven't had to dig into them yet. It really did, J-Mac. I actually already... one of my wonderful subs is mailing me an elf deck already. I just have to find like a Horizon Canopy and trophies. I'll be good to go. Which, finding actual Modern staples is pretty easy to find. Finding the elf specific cards can be tough. So getting the core of elves makes the rest of it really easy. How old are the sleeves? Well, the age of the sleeves doesn't matter so much as how much they've been shuffled. And I've been shuffling those a lot, to say the least. So I'm gonna play the Cavern out here so I can hold up the Spatial Contortion this turn in case they play like a Tracker or a Bob. Yeah, they do. Their playmats do have the fray-proof edges. Yeah, we went 4-1 in the league we played this morning, and we were done in 55 minutes. It was very, very good. You can borrow a canopy and 2 trophy from me. Awesome. Lock it in. I don't believe they ship outside the US, Ryland. Is Jund good again? Jund is the same as it's always been. People just get scared of playing the decks they like when they don't post a result for a while. And Jadine Clemperens very recently top-baited the SCG with Jund because it's all she plays and she's very good with it. So, like, that was like, oh, good player top-baited with Jund, I can play Jund again. My desk isn't too bad. All right, maybe it's a little bit bad at the moment. You know, like when I tilt my thing down like this, it's not even, doesn't even look that bad. It's actually messier on the sides. Do I offer this trade? I don't think so. I'm gonna do this and play Hallowed Fountain tap this turn, I think. Gets me an evasive threat to start pressuring in the air. Bring on the Bloodbraid. Probably see the Matter Reshaper dagger. I guess they could kill a Skyspawner too. No, the Spiral is summoning sick. Means it can't attack or block. It can't attack this turn. Probably see Goyf attack here. Yeah, so my next turn will be second Matter Reshaper, Spatial of Bloodbraid, crack for 4 probably. I can also draw that. You should check out my article on my Elf Primer on Cool Stuff Inc. I talk explicitly about Stain the Mind. I think I'd rather Shaper and Spatial this turn. I'm actually gonna hold this Plains in my hand so that way if they have Liliana the Veil, they can't make me discard my Reality Smasher. I think I might actually hold the Spatial for a turn. I'm just gonna attack with 1 Matter Reshaper and keep this Scion back. Actually, if this is my sequencing is bad here. I should have attacked with my Matter Reshaper before playing out my other one, so a little sloppy on my part. I've given my opponent more information than they'd otherwise have when they're choosing whether or not to block here. There's a chance if they didn't know I had this, they wouldn't have blocked. All right, so like now I could go land, sack Scion Smasher on defense, which insulates me against Thoughtseize a little bit. So that could be appealing. And then like next turn I could attack with Smasher and Celestial Colonnade. I think I'm in for that actually. You did miss Elves. We started early with Elves this morning. It'll be up on YouTube as always. Really good set of games with Elves. The deck is just very powerful. I thought Smasher entered the battlefield tapped and attacking, right? I could have also been more aggressive here and just played the Smasher pre-combat and attacked with it, and then if they traded with Matter Reshaper and I hit a land, I then could play the second Matter Reshaper. Maybe that was correct, actually. Couple different ways to sequence that last turn. What are we doing here? But is that a modern card that quietly warps modern more than Lightning Bolt? 1 mana to kill some creatures, impact life, hit planeswalkers. Is Lightning Bolt a card that warps modern? Yeah, definitely. Lightning Bolt's one of the most played cards in modern for sure. Scavenging Ooze would actually be pretty scary here. Spin to win. They still have to discard a card here. So I get like what's basically a 1-for-1. All right, they had Dreadbore, so this was probably dead regardless. The fact that they're discarding Dreadbore probably means their other card is also absurd, though. I assume we're going to see them smash here. We're going to 9. I had the Spatial Contortion to clean up the first Raging Ravine attack, which is nice for us. Battlefield would really like to draw a Elder Deep-Fiend so I can chain them. Matter Reshaper, sure. If I fire up Celestial Colonnade, I can play Matter Reshaper post-combat. Darkwell, thank you for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here again this month with that. I think that's what I want to do. Does Jund play Huntmaster? Not usually. I don't know. The last card could be a threat too. Matter Reshaper is so good. It's like a 3/2 Elvish Visionary a lot of the time. Bloodbraid? Yeah, Bloodbraid makes a lot of sense for the last one. Second Tarmogoyf. Yep. All right. Really need a squid, chat. Really need a squid. Squid Squad. Name checks out. Thank you for the stream, S-Guts. Thanks for the 6 months. I appreciate the half a year. Welcome back. Flooding a little bit here. I'm dead on board, right? Yep. Blessed Alliance and Celestial Purge are pretty reasonable here. I'm going to trim 2 Spatial Contortions. I'm going to trim a Talisman of Progress. Just want to flood slightly less. Recon Bravo team, 2 months of supporting from the shadows. YouTube subscriber, thank you for the 2-month tier 2 resub. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Be sure to drop me a message in private and let me know what deck you'd like to bump in the queue. I appreciate that tier 2 sub. I think Rip for Goyf is kind of narrow. Yeah, let's bring in 1. It's fine, right? It's like a removal spell for just Tarmogoyf. I don't think you want a bunch of them, but like, nah, I don't think that's worth it. It turns off Matter Reshaper's trigger, and Matter Reshaper's trigger is pretty important. Awesome, aimboats. Yeah, their puzzles are really good. I think Matter Reshaper drawing a card is more important than the slight upside of having other things line up well. Against Tarmogoyf. Rather just like, let's just path the Tarmogoyfs or Blessed Alliance them. Yeah, we've played a lot of different Elder Deep-Fiend decks. The problem with Elder Deep-Fiend a lot of the time in Modern, it feels like, is that the 3 and 4 mana spells you have to put in your deck to make Elder Deep-Fiend good make your deck just too clunky for Modern in general. I think it was too cute, Ace Tiger. I think you'd rather just get people dead. You just don't have time to like mope around with stuff like that. No, I think you want the blue and white sources from Talisman of Progress. That's why I'm playing it. I think the fixing is important. I value being able to cast my spells consistently very highly. Talisman of Progress also gives you the ability to play through Blood Moon much better. Because it makes all 3 colors of our mana under a Blood Moon, and you can cast it while you're currently under a Blood Moon. Persip, thank you for the 7-month resub. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. That's great, Klets. Sure. And one of the things, so like the curve in this deck, when it's laid out in our deck editor, is kind of deceiving because Skyspawner, Matter Reshaper, and Displacer are all cards that can be 2-drops when we have Eldrazi Temple. So there's sometimes 3s, but also 2s a lot of the time. And then, like, next turn, I'll get to go fetch land, Talisman, and Skyspawner, or Displacer, potentially, depending on what the opponent does. They could have another discard spell here. In the end, it doesn't even matter anymore. I think I want a Skyspawner here. I think just putting a bunch of pressure in the air sounds good, especially when they've got Dark Confidant dorking around. I'm a good salesman, to say the least, Persip. It's easy to sell a good product. Ah, damn it. Damn it. Well, that was the most punishing thing that could have happened there for my sequencing. That feels really bad. Maybe we're incredibly lucky and they don't have an untapped land. If they don't have an untapped land, getting one more attack with these Skyspawners should mean we can win this race. Good night, my sweet prince. That was the one card we didn't want to see there with the sequence that I took. Hey, Sazdals, thank you very much for the 2-month resub. Hey, appreciate that. Welcome back. And we're actually 1 mana away from firing up the Celestial Colonnade, right? So even an untapped land's a good draw next turn. And all of our lands are untapped except for 2 other colonnades, so we got a lot of those. So like, spells are good, untapped lands are good, so most of our deck is live draws here. Sure, spin to win. Nice magic card. I'm kind of surprised Inquisition is in their deck. I guess it's fine against some of our cheaper threats. I guess this is still fine for me, right? It's just like tap your thing, smack you for 8. Like, hope Bob kills you. And then, like, if Bob doesn't kill you, I've got Colonnade and a board. Perfect, Colin. Smush. The Colonnades have been quite good in this deck, too. Thanks, Bob. Rude. They got 7 cards in their hand, Chad. How can we ever possibly win? Oh, Magic's great. Nice 3-2 haste for 3. Do I want Spatial Contortions on the draw? I feel like I might want more of these on the draw. Yep, blue-white Eldrazi. You don't need to sell me on Tracker being better than Bob. Were they in a different part of the country at least, Bob? Like that's like almost justifiable, right? If they were on like the East Coast, they scheduled you on the West Coast. Holy crap. They scheduled a meeting at 7 a.m. on a Friday? Do they just hate themselves and others? Oh, yeah. Real decks have curves, chat. Never forget, real decks have curves. Look at the big scary Tarmogoyf, chat. Look at the big scary Tarmogoyf. Yeah, it's snowing here too. When Twitch brings out VIP for every channel, I don't know what VIP is. I probably should be more informed on the things that came out of TwitchCon, but I honestly don't know what VIP is. There's a draft portion, 3 rounds of draft, and then an hour lunch break. Like, do you want to take my Thought-Knot or do you want to take my Smasher? Thought-Knot makes sense. This is a reason to have played Skyspawner last turn. Because if I would have played Skyspawner last turn, I could sack the token to hit them with Reality Smasher this turn. So, playing around Thoughtseize, playing Skyspawner played around Thoughtseize. Hopefully we're just like a goddamn professional and draw Eldrazi Temple and smash them, but yeah. Yeah, I agree, Flank Attack. I'm not playing... Here's from Mardu Bird. Thank you for the support, Drew. I appreciate it. I'm not playing like Mopey Adakar Waste and stuff like that, right? So if I attack with this Matter Reshaper and they have a lightning bolt, they get to eat it for free. But like then they're like not lightning bolting my Skyspawner, so I think I'm okay with that. Deep-Fiend's not a bad draw. Skyspawner's been okay. Just fine. It's like they can like bolt my dome here and eat my Matter Reshaper. Sure. But like that was gonna do something anyways. It's just like I took an extra 3 damage for like potentially pushing damage here, which I think is fine. So I think I still Skyspawner here because I would prefer to not lose my Reality Smasher to a Liliana of the Veil next turn. So I think insulating against that is valuable. It also lets me fetch a Hallowed Fountain tapped, which is nice. Sure. 2 creatures in bins right now. Alliance is not a bad draw. So I just Just like do this and smash, right? Just like hit them for 7. And then like on the back of Deep-Fiend, they probably just can't race us. Like on the back of Deep-Fiend and Blessed Alliance, they're probably not racing us. Channel log, yep. And again, we're only 1 land away from firing up the Colonnade here too. So like if we hit a land in the next 2 draw steps, we get Colonnade to add extra pressure to the board too, which is very good for us. Okay. Yeah, this is our first time. We played something that was close-ish to this before, but this is our first time playing this specific iteration. So, I'm going to block plus Alliance they sack a creature here, but I don't know which one I want to make them sack. So like, which one do I block? I think, so basically what we need to think about here is we want to block whichever one they're less likely to sacrifice. I think they're less likely to sacrifice Scavenging Ooze here. So I'm gonna gamble and block Skoos. Because if they sack the Skoos, I'm okay with that, I think. So sacking Skoos means they deal damage this turn, but not having Skoos is good for us. So I basically make my opponent make a decision here. Like, do you want to 5 me or do you want to keep your better creature? Like, there's a lot of creatures in the bin right now. Like, this Skoos is going to get very large. And it looks like they're lining up to sack the Goyfir. Or sack the Skoos. Yeah, sweet. All right, so they're at 13. I'm going to hit them to 11. Next turn, I'm going to So EDF is going to tap them off of Goyf plus 3 of their 4 lands this turn. We're hoping for no Terminate or Assassin's Trophy. If they have a trophy here, we could potentially be in trouble. Nope, no mana float. All right. Just purge Goyf and we win. Exactly. Untapped land here is actually pretty good because it lets us Reality Smasher plus hold up Purge for Ravine. Displacer is a fantastic draw because it lets us tap Tarmogoyf. This is a basic waste here. Deck seems very reasonable. Just boop that one right on the nose. So the benefit for running basic wastes is that our opponents aren't able to Field of Rune us off of colorless mana. So if they normally against blue-white control, they can aggressively field us off of our colorless sources. It also means if we're lacking colorless mana and we get path exiled, we can find colorless mana. So if they have removal spell and then untap and draw lightning bolt, we're dead here. But I think this attack to put them dead on board is correct. Yep. Okay. So we're dead to bolt here. We're not dead on board because I have Celestial Purge to exile Raging Ravine. I'm a simple man. I see Elder Deep-Fiend that I said bits. Thanks for the support extras. So, if they drew their second bolt, they drew their second bolt. Yep. That's Magic sometimes. Just how it goes. Pretty happy with the choices that I made that game. I don't think I would have done anything differently. Just how it goes. And that there again is just like a fantastic example of why when you talk about whether or not a deck is good or bad, you shouldn't just look at the match results. You should talk about how the games have played out, whether or not things have felt cohesive and consistent. A lot of that is more important because a lot of your losses with decks, if they're reasonable and you're playing into the reasonable decks, are often really small margins like that. The difference between, you know, being 5-0 and 3-2 is often very small. It's like yesterday, right? Like we 5-0'd with Risk Factor and Burn, and our conclusion at the end of the league was that Risk Factor was garbage and we wouldn't play it. That's true. This is a matchup where Trophy is much better than Decay. Not particularly close. Hand's a little bit slow here, but if there's something aggressive, Spatial Contortion could be a removal spell. If we draw any land next turn, we can play out our Thought-Knot Seer. That's unfortunate. That's just nonsense. Jun's at its best when both players are top. Like, we literally weren't top decking. We had cards in our hand the entire game. They had 3 outs in their deck. They drew their 3 outs. That's Magic. That happens. But just like, don't say nonsense. I think I'm binning Skyspawner here. Displacer's probably more valuable. Looks like we're playing against Jund again. It's a different player. It is a different player. Are they playing Valakut Titan? Are they playing Ponza? Okay, they're playing Ponza with just a bad draw. Okay. These Thought-Knot Seers do not line up well into Chandra. Really unfortunate we didn't hit an untapped land last turn to take her away from them. Well, the good news is the rest of their hand is nonsense, like most Ponza hands. I think, in general, Risk Factor is probably not very good in Modern. Modern's not a format about grindy card advantage. Modern's a format about killing your opponent. There's a lot of decks in Modern that just don't give you time to leverage the 3 cards you're going to be drawing from Risk Factor when they give them to you. Hey, Alms, thank you for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Any land, please. Any land, please. Any land, please. Any land, please. I did not know they had the land in hand. When I Thought-Knot Seered them last turn, they had Kessig Wolf Run and an Arbor Elf. Well, unfortunately, this is going to get to kill this now. They drew 2 cards, Matt Man. They drew an extra card with Chandra. Yeah. Yeah, you're good. You're good. You got there. You got there. You figured it out. This is just like a good example of why Talisman's good, right? Just like, I'm a big fan of casting my spells. We're going to like actually play Magic because we have this Talisman here. I can't cast double removal spell. There's a Blood Moon in play. It has Talisman of Progress. If I ever have to put this on my resume for future jobs, it'll just like part of the description will be telling Twitch chat why they're wrong. Look at that. We're only 1 land away here from getting to flashback Champion of Wits here too. It's like nice Ponza deck. Good job losing to the 3-color deck with no red in it. The fact that this deck sees as much play as it does is just such a testament to just like the type of decks people play in Modern. So we can play through Blood Moon, but I am going to bring in a couple of cards to kill it because it is annoying. I think I trim 2 EDFs because they are the most difficult card to cast under Blood Moon. I don't think I want these other cards. I don't think Negate or Blessed Alliance are quite good enough here. I'm just going to trim 2 Deep-Fiends for a Disenchant and a Purge, I think. Yeah, I'm going to trim one of those. Let's leave two Squid Dads in. Squid Mom, Squid Dad, I don't know. Octo Dad. In. Turn 2 Displacer, possibly turn 2 Talisman if they Blood Moon us. We're definitely leading on Cavern. That's the one we'd prefer to get Stone Rained. We would like more lands in this hand. That's a fantastic draw for us. Just want to draw all the lands this game, basically. Sure. This could be a game where we lose if they just have double Stone Rain on the play and we brick off. These are the only games of Magic Ponza can win, basically. This is game 2. We're currently up a game. I think I would like to play the Talisman of Progress and then upkeep path this. Nah, control decks are hot garbage in Modern. Especially ones that are trying to play mostly unplayable 5-mana creatures. I get that that's everything Twitch chat wants to do, but those are the decks that you just like set money on fire with and get beat up a bunch. You path on the upkeep because Path to Exile puts the land into play tapped. So that way they can't use the land for mana this turn. For either ban Blood Moon. What an apt timing for that username. Any land, please. Any land, please. It's pretty frustrating. And one of the reasons why you don't see decks like Ponza much anymore, or you don't see cards like Blood Moon and Stone Rain printed anymore in Magic is because these cards create pretty bad games of Magic on average, and they just take the resource variance that exists in Magic naturally and they like crank it up to the max effectively. So we got 1 turn to draw Path to Exile here. We're gonna die. Really wanted to hit the land naturally last turn so that way we could Thought-Knot Seer an Inferno Titan away. So basically the opponent's deck, people always ask about Ponza, and the reason why Ponza's not good is because it's filled with a bunch of cards that are basically unplayable, and the only reason why it ever wins matches of Magic is because occasionally it gets on the play like this, and then your opponent basically just doesn't play. So like when your opponent can't play Magic, it doesn't really matter how bad your other cards are. If Blood Moon goes away, Cavern will just be a colorless land. Do I want Blessed Alliance in the face of Stormbreath Dragon? I might. I think Spatial's pretty bad. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Forgot they played Big Daddy Dragon. They basically just play like a smorgasbord of whatever like 4, 5, and 6 mana red spells they want, because again, it just doesn't matter what you're casting to kill your opponent with when they can't play Magic. I don't think I want Negate. I think I'm tapping out enough that just Negate's not something I want to be doing. I think I need to mulligan this. It has plenty of lands in it, but it doesn't play through a Blood Moon, and it doesn't have any threats in it. I think this is an example of like lands and spells that I just don't keep. I'm gonna keep this hand with a Scribe. It needs a second land, obviously, but if we hit a second land, Talisman gets us to 3. And we can fetch a basic around a Blood Moon. Alright, we get to play Magic. It's a good start. I unfortunately do not have a colorless source currently to Spatial Contortion this Arbor Elf, which is a little bit sad. I'm gonna go ahead and fetch Basic Island here because I have copies of Elder Deep-Fiend in my deck, and Basic Island plus Talisman of Progress gives me double blue. What's our record? We are 1-1 after losing a razor thin match to Jund. We had them dead on board and they top decked a Bolt to exactly lethal us. Sure. I think it's PN Kira Nalar. I think it's PN Kira Nalar. That's the one. I guess I can Displacer to kill the tokens. Champion of Wits has been okay. It's been like a passable 3-mana spell. It's possible that they should just be Kitchen Finks, but Kitchen Finks can be hard to cast in some situations. We haven't gotten to flash it back yet, but we've gotten close. Champion of Wits has helped us hit land drops that we have otherwise missed a couple of times on turn 4. Excuse me. Wait, what? They're not playing Bloodbraid? Sure. Yeah, I like this Altai-Karn deck a lot, isn't Tov? Thoughts on 2-mana Thalia? In what context? 2-mana Thalia is very good. It's one of the best cards in the format. Very, very powerful card. Sure. I have a second Blood Moon that I don't care about. You think they'll print enemy color talismans? I hope so at some point. That'll be nice to have in Modern. Just like Spatial this, attack you for 7. Sure. I think Art Like Phoenix has a shell in Modern. There's a bunch of other people that certainly seem to think so. Okie doke. Good chance we're just dead here at this point. I can upkeep, flick this Arbor Elf to prevent them from having a mana. So we'll do that. I guess this means I don't have Blessed Alliance up if they rip a Stormbreath Dragon. But I think I'd like to keep them off of potentially casting an Inferno Titan this turn. Like if they hit it with Chandra. I just drew the Inferno Titan. Sure. It's just how Magic goes sometimes. Very good spots to draw a bunch of good ones. And that's one of the issues with a deck like this, I think. I think while this deck is very reasonable, you can just read my article. I've talked about why Dark Confidant has pooped so many times. Constantly in videos, and it's written down. Go read my Magic article. The article talking about the green-black rock talks about why it's poop. The future of competitive Magic announcement on December 6th. It's going to involve Magic Arena. Magic Arena is the future of competitive Magic, if they are smart. If WotC wants to grow what their game can be competitively, Arena is the future. I'd like the new non-rotating format to start with Ixalan. I think the current standard format is great, and if they start with the current standard format, they can have the play design team test for their new non-rotating format. Have it potentially be very reasonable. Yeah, I'm gonna host the Pro Tour on my channel extras, and then I'll be in my own Twitch chat, hanging out with y'all, because I plan to watch the constructed portion. Standard is the best format of Magic I have ever played right now, and Arena is the best piece of Magic software that I have always wanted. Just like two great flavors that taste good together. Maybe turn 3 Reality Smasher on the play could let us race here. I conceded the first game, so my opponent wouldn't necessarily know how to sideboard because my hand didn't have any pressure in it. I think some of our non-rip hands can race the opponent, but we need to be very aggressive. Yeah, this hand's very good for a mulligan to 4. It's actually funny, if this is a Narcomoeba, it's actually pretty good against us because it blocks my 2-1. I'm just gonna hope the Smasher runs the distance. Wow, what does no block there mean? Why wouldn't you trade your 1-1 for my 2-1? What interesting and engaging games of Magic the Gathering. Don't you feel like we've really had a back and forth where both players have made meaningful decisions? Dredge is just one of the worst things about Modern. I feel like regardless of winning or losing and whether or not I'm playing it or my opponent's playing it, it's like Tron, right? The games of Magic just aren't good. Like, regardless of the outcome, the games of Magic aren't interesting, it feels like. A lot of, that's not true. There's a very small subset of games that have some choices in them. A lot of them are poop, though. That's true. I did mulligan a bunch. We did just beat Dredge without one of our rips, though, so that's nice. No, I don't really play in a lot of Magic-style events that qualify for the Pro Tour. It's very expensive to qualify for the Pro Tour. Streaming makes me enough money to be a job. Pretty much everybody that plays on the Magic Pro Tour has other jobs so they can actually support themselves, because like playing Magic professionally like that doesn't actually pay your bills. I'm gonna bottom this. I think I just need to find one of my 3 Rust-In pieces. Sure, if you're playing a deck that has a good Tron matchup, you probably don't mind playing against it. But like, I feel like even when I'm playing decks that have good Tron matchups, they're not good games of Magic, which is a subjective measurement. I will accept that. It's a subjective measurement. But what I consider to be a quality game of Magic doesn't happen even when I'm playing a deck that's good against Tron. In fact, the decks that tend to be good against Tron tend to exclusively generate bad games of Magic. So here's the thing, when people talk about competitive Magic players should make this or should get this or don't get this, I really feel like a lot of people don't understand how little the current way competitive Magic structure does for the game. I think a lot of people overestimate how much it does. I think Storm generates pretty terrible games of Magic on average, yep. In my opinion, what I consider to be a quality game of Magic is a back and forth where both players have something going on, and my cards are doing something with my opponent's cards, and their cards are doing something with my cards. Yeah, the fact they didn't hit a second Dredger there was good for us. If we hit a rip, like, we could end the game, maybe. Of course, their hand was also a little bit medium, so there's probably a chance that they have, like, Assassin's Trophy or something in their hand right now. So, actually, is anybody watching the Pro Tour stream right now? Are there time-shifted feature matches at this Pro Tour? Because that's going to be my first tweet after I sign off. Are there time-shifted feature matches going on at the Pro Tour today? This weekend? Not the first round. It blows my mind that the single best thing that has happened for Magic coverage in the last, since I've been watching Magic coverage, doesn't exist at the Pro Tour and only exists at Grand Prix. It is absurd and stupid and shows a fundamental misunderstanding for what makes Magic coverage good, that doesn't exist at the Pro Tour. I think I take the Stinkweed Imp here, right? Because it blocks my stuff. Because it's got Death Touch. It's also their best dredger, like it dredges 5, but I'm actually more worried about it blocking my stuff than it dredging. Did you miss the advantage bar, right? I don't know. I'm just dead regardless of how I slice this. I'm just gonna concede. I think this deck falls into the category of a lot of decks that we play here on stream with Magic. It's got some really sweet cards in it. It's got a cohesive game plan, but just the efficiency at which this deck is able to play just isn't good enough in relation to the modern format. Honestly, you can probably figure out if a modern deck is going to be good by looking at this column here and noting how many 1-mana spells there are. And look at the curve of this deck. While sometimes these cards are going to be 2-drops on the back of Eldrazi Temple, just the fact, and these are going to be 3s and 4s, like even this curve isn't efficient enough for Modern. So the fact that we scrubbed that league doesn't really surprise me. I think if you play against a bunch of mediocre Modern decks, like a bunch of mid-range and control, and these other decks that people play that aren't very good, this not very good deck is going to be fine. But I think against things like Burn and Dredge and the other brutal efficient decks that exist in Modern, this deck's just going to die most of the time.